news to me. There we go. How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another fantastic episode of The Business Junkie. This one I've been looking forward to ever since I started doing this podcast because this man is like the definition of business. He is a ninja, he is a fitness, he is a MARC ZALMANOFF, and it is incredible. And on top of all of that, he still has time to be a massive advocate for banana bread. Without further ado, my good friend, MARC ZALMANOFF. How you doing, buddy?
What's happening, man? I'm excited. When I saw you post that you were going to start doing a podcast, I'm like, of course you are, because that's like the natural evolution of your career as well. And you honestly, you have so much value to add and so much insight, and you've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, relatively speaking. And it's been so fun to watch your journey. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. And anybody who's seen any of my videos before, they already know it's thanks to you and John and all the influence that the Fit Pro Collective has really brought in. And honestly, I think it really comes down to the best word of advice I ever got, which was go take a fucking vacation. So, uh,
Who knew that was the best business advice you would ever get, right?
yeah, go to the mountains, come back, and start 2 more businesses. You'll be fine.
And what I discovered recently was ever since then, like you've grown the beard out, you got some more manly things going on. Like it literally transformed you. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't ever like tell anyone what I went through in the woods. Like that's, against the rules, but it can change your life. It can change your life.
I love it. I love it.
Speaking of changing lives though, you got one hell of a story, dude, and I would love for you to tell the audience how you become an entrepreneur and how you went through this journey.
So I'll give the Cliff Notes version because the long version nobody wants to hear. I went to college to become a chiropractor. That was my original plan. I was one of those people, like growing up, I never had something that I'm like, I want to be this when I grow up. There was nothing that I was like overly passionate about. There was nothing that like really spoke to me. And the reason chiropractic kind of was in my radar was I remember my dad seeing a chiropractor when I was in high school. I think I went a couple of times. I don't know why, but I was like, well, that kind of seems like a fun job. Like they get to help people, and it seems like they all make good money because they all have nice offices and stuff. So like totally, just this pie in the sky of like, oh, it seems like a good idea, So I go to college, I start going down that track. It's a ton of science, and I get to organic chemistry, and you might as well have been speaking Sanskrit because I had no fucking idea what was happening. Like the concept of it was beyond my comprehension at the time, much less any understanding of it. And I dropped that class. I had like a 55 when I dropped it, never retook it. And I learned very shortly after that chiropractic college, the number one science that you study is, lo and behold, organic chemistry. So I'm like, okay, well, now I'm fucked. So now what are we going to do? And I ended up just changing my major to kinesiology because I had so many science credits that put me almost there anyway. And with a kinesiology degree, there's not a whole lot you can do with that either. You basically become a PE teacher, a personal trainer, or you stay in school to become a physical therapist or get a master's in something. And I was done with school at that point, so I became a personal trainer. I worked at Bally Total Fitness for a very short amount of time, so that kind of dates me. If you remember that health club, you're old like I am. And then I worked at Lifetime Fitness for a few years. And it was in that time where I had a really great mentor within that company. He was our personal training manager, but he was a leader. He wasn't, when we talk about leadership and management, he was a true leader. He was trying to grow other leaders. He would pour into us and really help develop us. And like any good business, especially in the service industries, if you're really good, you don't stick around and work for anybody for very long. So I was there at Lifetime for about 3.5 years, went out on my own, and that was 17 years ago. So for the last 17 years, in some way, shape, or form, I've been working for myself. I've owned a couple of different gyms. I've worked out of other people's gyms. I do the online thing. A couple of years ago, started doing business coaching, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of the other things that I have going on. But it's a freaking roller coaster, man. Like you've been at it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Now compound that another 18 or so, and just think like all the things that we go through. And what's really interesting to me, so Facebook started around 2007, 2008 ish, and I think I got on at 2008. So I see things come up in my memories, and I check them every day. By the way, if you produce content on a regular basis, Facebook Memories is great because you'll find things that you posted a year or two ago, and you could just reuse that same stuff because nobody remembers what you posted anyway.
100%.
Uh, Nobody remembers what they had for lunch yesterday, much less what you posted 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago. Anyway, but I find things that pop up that I totally forgot, these endeavors that I attempted to do. And I don't like calling things failures because I learned from all these things, but there's various programs that I tried to launch and partnerships that I tried to do and all these things. I'm like, man, you just forget about it because in 20 years, there's so much that you just keep when you just keep trying to plug away and find the answer and figure out where do you serve your role best, who do you serve best, how do you get that message across. It's really fun to kind of look back and go, wow, like I was really willing to put myself out there over and over and over and over again to get where I am now. And I've never been a type of person to be like, oh no, like that didn't work, maybe I'm not cut out for this. I'm like, okay, well, that didn't work, now what do we do? And you just go figure out the next thing. But the common theme through all of it was just helping others. And Josh, I know you're in that same mindset. It's the reason you're a great coach. You just serve people. And when we stick to the roots of that, regardless of what you do, it doesn't have to be fitness at all. But when you just look like, how can I help other people with the talents that I've been given? You do that long enough, and eventually you get what you want out of life because you've helped enough other people get what they want.
N Honestly, I absolutely love hearing your story more than just about anyone else's because of one simple fact. It's because it's so different. Like, everyone else I know in the fitness industry have the story of how they were either overweight or they overcame something like that in their own life where they're like, "You know what? Like, I did this, I wanna help others." You went from a pure, like, almost like a logical standpoint of like, "Well, I can't do that, organic chemistry shit, so, what else am I gonna do? I guess I'll do this. I can help people this way." And you went at it and you're like, I'm just going to go out there and help people and not have to do organic chemistry and see where this goes. And it led to this amazing fitness ninja empire that you're going on right now. But I think it's so cool because I'm so used to the story of like, I just was so passionate about fitness. I had to do this. Like that's my story. Like I worked at Walmart and I hated Walmart, but I love fitness. So I gave up Walmart
Hmm.
to do fitness. Like it's just
Yeah.
such a difference.
Part of it too, and this is something I kind of realized not that long ago. So growing up, my dad he was a salesman. The dude sold everything. Uh Piano, shoes, homes, transmissions, cars, and he had a car lot. He owned his own car lot for a large portion of probably from the time I was around 10 until past me graduating high school and going off to college.
We call
And
those
so I
true
had
Americans right there.
yeah, baby. And again, I didn't realize at the time, but I had this example of my father who always bet on himself. I remember once he tried to go work for somebody for like a couple of months, somebody like in the city that we lived in, which was Sherman, Texas, like the largest car dealership there was recruiting him, like because they knew how good he was. And they wanted him to come in and run the sales department and do all this stuff. And I don't even know if he lasted 3 months. And he's like, no, I can't do it. Like he just could not bring himself to work for somebody else. And so again, I didn't know what I was being shown at the time. I didn't understand it. I just saw it. And I'm like, oh, I guess like it was just really normal to me that at some point you just go do your own thing if you feel confident and you're good at it. And he just had this confidence about him and he still does. Like, he's older now, so he's got like a side gig that he uses just to pay for vacations and stuff, really. And honestly keep him active. But he just operated with the confidence that it's like that calm, cool confidence. It was never cocky. It was never like very outspoken, but you could just tell he knew what he knew and he stayed in his lane and he got really, really good at it. And so I had that example to go off of. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to find some things that I am really, really good at and hone my skills and the level of customer service that he provided for people was outstanding as well. So that's where a lot of the ways that I am with people, not just in my business, but in life, are because of the way I saw him interacting with other people as well. So, there was all these little components to the story that I didn't know what I was being taught. But when everything just kind of converged together, I'm like, okay, well, now it all makes sense. And reflecting back on that, it really makes sense as to why I chose the path that I chose and why I choose to operate the way that I do. It was all these positive examples that I was really blessed to have with. I didn't, like you said, I didn't have that like big adversity story of, I got to fight through this. And, we all got our shit, but like I didn't have those big things. It was just, hey, I'm just going to go be a happy person in this world and make a difference any way that I can.
That I think that also speaks volumes to for anyone who knows Mark, the one thing that you'll always see is him smiling. Like it's ridiculous. It's just painted on his face, kind of like the Joker. How did I get these scars? Kind of thing. It's just always there, and I think that that right there speaks volumes to just who you are as a person, because you just find positive people and just gravitate to them, and just you give so much to them and get so much from them. It's ridiculous how like the circle it just seems to always gravitate towards you. So it makes sense that your dad kind of passed that along too. Like it's just a generation of Zolmanoffs out there making the world a better place and selling cars apparently.
Yeah, I even sold one. I remember selling a car, like he had gone away on vacation, and I actually sold. I was like 16. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and somehow or another, I sold a car to somebody. I'm like, oh well, that was kind of cool.
It was by accident. All I did was talk to the dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that, and honestly, that probably helped you later on understand what sales really is, which is just service. It's just providing a value to someone that needs something that you have to offer. And being as introduced to that at such a young age, that's one of the best things that you could uh possibly be given. Apparently we have someone in our chat just saying chat in the city. Interesting. How's it going, friend? Anyway, uh so you were brought up in this environment, you were brought up seeing your dad go out and do these at the time, I'm sure it was just considered commonplace type deal,
Yeah.
like, that was just how things were. When was it when you had that moment where you're like, "You know what? I'm operating a little bit differently, like, this isn't how everything normally works." Like, did you have a moment when you realized this is slightly different than the norm?
I think honestly, it was pretty far into my career because in the beginning, you're just trying to find your way. You're trying to figure out where you fit. You're trying to figure out the people you want to serve. You're trying to figure out your business model. Like, and I never had anybody to teach me, business, and I didn't have a business coach until just a few years ago. So a lot of it was just really just trying to figure shit out. And it was probably hell, it was probably only like 5 or 6 years ago where the longevity started to sink in that, oh, wait, I'm outlasting like all these people that I used to coach with. Like I remember at Lifetime Fitness, we had a staff of like 40 coaches. That's a huge training staff. I think now there's maybe four of those that are still training. That's not a lot. And I understand like that's the natural progression of most adults. Like, I don't know what the stats are. It's like most people go through like 7 or 8 different careers in their adulthood, where I just stuck with the thing because I don't know, I guess I knew somewhere in the recesses of my mind that if you just stick with the thing long enough, you're probably going to get really good at it. So when that longevity started to sink in, it's like, oh man, I've been doing this for like well over a decade now. And then getting feedback, and this is really important, getting feedback from people that I was working with and hearing the types of things that they said about me. And it was never about the training. Yeah, they'd be like, oh, the workouts are fun or whatever. But it was always more about the personal side of things of, Mark makes it fun and he meets me where I am and he challenges me to think differently and approach life differently. I'm like, mm, okay, that is different because I mean, Josh, like most of the fitness landscape is 6 week challenge this and booty blaster over here and 8 pack abs over here, whatever gets people moving. I don't give a shit. But, I want people to live differently. I want people to approach life differently. I want them to have a different perspective than the average person because that's what it takes to separate yourself from the rest. And so again, when I started kind of getting that feedback and honestly just pouring into myself and developing my own skill sets and reading more books and diving into different podcasts and growing my own personal repertoire, that's when it's like, okay, now I see. Now it makes sense that I am different, and now I'm going to double down on that difference to make sure that I continue to separate myself from that average trainer.
I really want to touch more on the part where you talked about the not quitting. The basically you've seen so many other people, and you see this even more now. I feel like everyone's jumping from career path to career path even faster now than ever
Mhm.
before. The fact that you stuck with it and told yourself, you know what, if I just keep doing the same damn thing over and over again and it's giving me a result, it will keep giving me a result and I'll just get better at getting that result. Was there a point where you almost said, you know what, this is difficult. Everyone else is trying new things. I should try something new. Or were you just always of the mindset of like, I'm just going to keep doing this, never going to stop?
So here's the way my mind worked. For a lot of years, I really struggled, and just like a lot of us, like there were times where I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent next month. I had two younger boys at the time. I'm like, how am I going to pay for them and the things that they need? And so, there were a lot of stressful years. But what I would do is, I always joke. There were so many times that I felt like I was just like five clients away from really breaking through, or five clients away from being like, oh shit, I gotta go get a job. It was going both ways. It was like I needed to either rise up or I was gonna fall, and the shit was gonna hit the fan, right? But what I did was I looked around at the people that were in front of me, like literally and figuratively. So on a day where, maybe in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm really like, there's not enough money, coming in. I don't have enough clients. But I would look around at the clients that I did have and be like, you know what? If I had quit, I wouldn't be here for that person right now. And for whatever reason, I don't need to know the reason. For whatever reason, they're in my path because I'm supposed to be serving them. And it was those things that I had to continue to remind myself. And I fully believe like the people that cross our path are there for a reason. Well, what's the thing, like a reason, a season, or a
Mhm.
lifetime or whatever. Like, but I believe in that. I believe that God places people in certain times of our lives for certain reasons. And sometimes it's for us and sometimes it's for them. So I don't have to understand the bigger picture. I just have to understand that no, I'm supposed to be here right now because these whether it's these two people, these 22 people, these 200 people, I'm supposed to be helping them along their path because I have something unique to me that allows me to connect with them that you can't and John can't and this person can't, but I can for whatever reason. And I have to be okay with that. And the more I reminded myself of that, the more ease I would have in my mind, in my heart of like, okay, I'm in the right place. Like just stick with it. And that was that little voice in my head just going, just don't quit, man. Just don't quit. Like these people are counting on you. And again, whether I just made all that shit up or not, it really doesn't matter because it is the thing that made me continue to persevere and keep showing up day after day, week after week, year after year, and get to a point now where, look, I still got struggles, just like all of us. Nothing's ever just fucking sunshine and rainbows. But the struggles I have now are I'll take these struggles any day of the week over the struggles that I had 8 to 10 years ago, wondering how the rent was going to be paid. But I still do that same thing. I still look around and go, man, all these people are in my path for a reason. I'm supposed to be helping them. So I'm going to keep showing up and helping them until I feel like internally led to do something else. Right. And, like with Fit Pro Collective, our coaching company, I felt led to do that. It added to what I was doing. It wasn't either or, we can do more than one thing. But a large portion of that was just me feeling like, okay, I've been doing this for a really long time. I have knowledge that I can help other people, especially through the whole COVID bullshit, and really help some other coaches stay in business because I do care about health and fitness. I'm very passionate about it, but I can't do it on my own, and you can't do it on your own, and John can't do it on his own. Like we have to have more good people stay in business in order to help other people with their health and fitness to make any sizable dent to the healthcare crisis that's been going on for decades now. So, back to that's a very long-winded answer, I know, but it wasn't ever like one moment or one little pivotal thing. It was just that constant reminder of like, no, you're right where you're supposed to be. You're right where you're supposed to be. You're right where you're supposed to be.
I absolutely love that because it just proves how much you're in this to serve people. You're not in this for the money, you're in this to serve and help. And I can guarantee that the people that those aren't just voices in your head. And the reason I know that is because of I know your clients, and I know one interesting fact about you. The industry average for personal trainers to keep a client is 3 to 6 months. What is your
Mm.
longest lasting client?
My longest one is 14 and a half years.
See, you don't
And
you don't get 14 and a half year long clients if you're not going out there serving at the highest level.
I was doing running some numbers a couple months ago. So I got 14 and a half years. I got one lady that just hit 11 this month. I have another lady that hit 10 back in August. And I have, I believe, about 10 people that are going to be coming up on 5 years with me next year in from various facets. So it's pretty cool to see that. And it's very humbling in my opinion to know that somebody trusts you that long. And look, 10 years for me is multiple facilities, multiple locations, two different cities, and these people have followed me around wherever I've gone. And I'm so grateful for those people who have just continued to support me, continue to show up for themselves, honestly, and be willing to continue to buy into the vision that I have for what I want to do with my company, what I want for my life, what I want for their lives. And it's, yeah, it's a pretty cool feeling for sure.
I that just blows me away. Like, obviously, I haven't been in the business long enough to have 14-year-long clients, but I can tell you right now that, like, I would have a shirt that says that. Like, I'd be walking around like, "Yeah, damn straight I did that." Uh, and you mentioned a couple times that they all align with the vision you have, and it's actually a pretty awesome saying. It's "Make America Fit Again." And you already brought up the Fit Pro Collective, so we can start digging a little bit deeper in that. So, was the original plan for the FitPro Collective just to align with that goal, or what did you imagine the outcome of that being? Because I can attest, being one of the people who went through it and excelled at it, that it is a life changing experience. So when you got with John and was like, I think we have something here, what was the end vision and how did it align with your where you were at?
So honestly, it was one of those things that we just started. And again, we just started with a servant mindset. So, him and I had been chatting a little bit, figuring out, okay, what do you do? What do I do? What's your skill set? What's my skill set? And when the scamdemic shut everything down, we were like, we need to help some people. Like that was kind of where our mindset was. It's like, shit, all these trainers are coming out the woodworks going, what do we do? Like, do I have to do a Zoom call with everyone? And how do I do online coaching and all these things? And John had already been serving that industry. I had already been doing online coaching for I think at least a couple of years prior to that, like with full blown systems in place, not like sending workouts through email, but I had a subscription to an app, I had things set up, I had systems and processes and all that. And so we're like, let's just go help some people. So, we started doing webinars, we started doing some what we call business boot camps, as you know, and just served people in any way we can. I think I had a digital product for a short amount of time that was literally step by step of like how to, create your online offering and get up and running within, a very short amount of time. And so later that year, September of 2020, we're like, I think we got something here. And it was really just that. It was like, I think we can help people. And we didn't know exactly how, we didn't know exactly what. We just knew that between the two of us, we had a pretty robust skill set, and there weren't a lot of people that we couldn't help, regardless of, because I still own brick and mortar. So I have my foot in the door there. I was doing online. He's great at the marketing and sales side of things. So again, there's not a lot of people we can't help in the fitness industry to grow and scale their business. So when you talk about alignment with the goal, does it help me serve the, make America fit again? Absolutely. But my personal mission is to leave people better. Like, and that's the end of the statement. Like, I don't
Mhm.
have this long, convoluted mission statement. Like, that's simple. And it's one of the things that I use as a filter of, if I do this thing, do I leave people better because of it? So it makes my decision making pretty easy. Things that are quick money grabs, if they don't leave someone better somewhere along the way, not me, but other other people, then it's not going to be the rewarding endeavor that it should be. Because at some point we got to look in the mirror and go, are we doing the right thing too?